me like that?
Sorry.
Trickery.
Here.
You guys shut up. Oh, hi. We're here. You're here. Fans on. That's got it. Fan. My fans are more important right now. Okay. Excuse us. It's hot in here. We don't have air conditioning.
Sorry.
We suffer for you and the cat. How's it all going, everybody? Finally live on time for a change. I know. Crazy time. Oh, shoot. Excuse me.
Rose, stop that.
Whatever. We're live. We're live, dang it.
I'm sorry. Push the button too soon.
So rude. Anyway. And, aka RP Chrissy. My butt's here. Welcome to another Monday, Sunday school. Swelteringly hot Monday school. It's not Arizona heat, but then I had better air conditioning in Arizona, so I don't know. Oh man, I don't know if I messed up on the wording today, but man, we had no attention this time. No, but attention. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the sermon. This is sort of, as always, we want to expand a bit on the sermon and then get into our homework. Might be a little shorter tonight because I'm melting.
That's a horrible short joke. Can you get me?
Horrible short joke. This? Oh, well, it's like you're hot too or something. Wife's always hot. She knows it. But yeah, if you saw the sermon, we did it on Joshua and Caleb and the feckless boomery Egyptian obsessed
Pharaoh syndrome.
Jew Hebrews who rebelled against God to the point where he killed them all off in the desert so that he could raise up Joshua and Caleb's generation to replace them. So, and we compared this to what what Gen Z and Gen Alpha and certain millennials are dealing with previous generations. So terrified of anything change, so terrified of war, and terrified of civilizational collapse. You could die. Whoa. Nobody gets out of this alive, as my wife says. Gone are the days where the American man went, give me liberty or give me death. Now it's like, give me liberty or something. Oh, hey, look, porn. And don't take that away from me ever, or I'll go rabid, but I won't actually risk anything. That analogy is a bit rough. Or,
Don't take my weed away.
Take my weed away, guys.
I should love growing it.
Don't take the boobs away, guys. Can't have any real ones anymore.
Oh gosh.
Or from the church.
Let's think in the water.
Or from like the church perspective. No, if you fight, maybe I'll have to fight. No, my cowardice has to become. No, cowardice has to be a virtue. Because you realize that's all that is. All right, all the pacifism, talk, and excessive. It's just making a virtue out of cowardice. That's all it is. And again, they want to twist words. They want to take things out of context. One of my new favorite things that I found out recently was something that was right in front of my face. Right, their classic thing when Peter pulls out the sword, cuts the man's ears off, and looks all rabid and mean. And Jesus says, "No, because everyone who lives by the sword dies by the sword, except for Genghis Khan, ironically." Oh, wait, you mean to say that was what we call hyperbole? Because in fact, not everyone who lives by the sword dies by the sword. It's a concept. It's a warning not to be excessively willing to go to the sword, to go to the physical violence. But the important part about that, besides the fact that Genghis Khan died of old age, the man who killed and raped probably more people than
Can you stop him?
she stopped like his grandson or something. Wife,
That's what I meant.
he died long before
Well,
the empire got that
He's
far.
talking about
Sorry.
Wow.
Says my Dutch ancestors who broke into that by the Swedes.
Yes,
Anyway.
our ancestors are so happy.
Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, yeah, we make jokes because I am Dutch, which means we got like a Norman in me and stuff, and various Viking crews.
Thanks
And
to
she
broad
was like,
shoulders.
yes, the Vikings dead in the Potova, and then then we get to I get to remind her, yes, but the true power couple.
We don't like German either.
The true power couple was in fact the Viking who married his Russian princess and then went back home and conquered the crown.
That, and history repeats itself.
And
Here
he
we are.
gouged out the eyes of an emperor. The emperor was betraying him, to be fair. Fought Muslims, married a Russian princess, went home, killed his rebellious, I think it was his uncle or something who kicked him out, regained his throne, Christian mother trucker. He, if you've ever heard the song, probably haven't, but he's the one that they rock. They literally pulled a Jack Sparrow before Jack Sparrow did it. They had a giant chain blocking them in the river to get to the Black Sea in Constantinople. And the emperor had said that they weren't allowed to leave because he didn't want to lose them. And they were fighting, right? And they stole their ships. They got out. They got to the big ship destroying chain. What they did is they rocked their Viking boats over them, like running back and forth on the boat. Like that stupid scene from Pirates of the Caribbean where they flip the ship. But it actually works when you have a light, long Viking ship. You can actually do that. Not a giant frigate, but you could do it with a Viking ship, longboat. Most of them made it over. I think they lost one ship doing that.
Like the last one at the end.
Yeah, most of them made it out. They were able to grab most of the guys off that boat. But yeah, it's just to show how dangerous it was and why people didn't try that most of the time. Anyway, no one was going to stop him to get back to his Russian princess. Darn it. God. Anyway. I don't know, I was just reminding everyone that the Christian Vikings are the Vikings they're actually thinking about who did all the adventuring. The pagan Vikings were the ones who were like pirates. Who were just going to show up, be fat, and tell you to pay them to go away. And then they'd come back next year. But the Vikings became dangerous when they became Christians. Before that, they were like ruffians, but they were fighting a bunch of peasants who lost all their Roman defenses and stuff. So they seemed like easy pickings to them. And it's funny, the second that the British actually created a professional army through Alfred the Great, suddenly the Vikings went, you guys are actually kind of tough to fight now. And again, the most dangerous Vikings, one could argue, were the Normans, and they became Christians, conquered England, conquered Sicily, actually took a pope hostage, those crazy mother truckers. They were going to get excommunicated, but then conveniently, once there was a sword to the Pope's head, they were in fact not excommunicated and very valuable sons of the Catholic Church.
Again, the sword.
Yes, this actually plays into what we're talking about. What? That was a full circle. How did that happen?
I have no idea.
The point being.
Point at the end of the
Yeah, that's the point. Oh, I never finished. Right. The important part about the Peter thing. You know, what happened afterwards? What did Jesus say? Did Jesus say, throw your sword away, Peter? What did you even sneak that in here for, you drunk fisherman? No, he said, sheathe your sword. I'm sorry. He told Peter to keep his sword. Well, why didn't he tell him to throw it away? Well, first of all, he told Peter to buy his sword in the first place. There's that little awkward part where he says, "Go out and buy, you sell a coat, buy a sword." And Peter goes and says, "Hey, we got 2 swords now." And Jesus is like, "Okay, that's enough. That's good." He didn't say get rid of him. He knew that Peter had a sword. He knew there was another sword of his crew as well.
That really disproves the truth argument.
Yeah,
About,
they try to pretend that that's nothing. Oh,
It
that's
was
just
like a
a metaphor. Even though he knew there was swords there and all the rest. Like, okay,
he would tell Peter to shoot this.
And we do need to establish something a little extra on top of this. These were not Roman soldiers yet. This was a rabble. This was the temple guards and any drunk guy that they picked up on the street on the way to the garden. Like, it was literally like a bunch of temple guards, not professionals. Like, these were guys dealing with merchants all day long. Kind of, like glorified thugs, that kind of thing. There's a reason why an untrained fisherman was able to cut off one of their ears. It's because they weren't pros. Okay? Right. The Romans weren't involved yet. Pilate hadn't been called. They weren't there. The Romans didn't defend the temple. That was the Jewish job. You see how that works? That's why Peter then instantly.
People don't get helmets to protect their ears.
Well, I'm sure they had some kind of error, but they didn't have the fun. The Roman helmet protects the ears. And they would have things like shields and whatnot, even if it was a light auxiliary unit of some kind. So we need to establish that. The Romans came later, right? So one of the more interesting, and this I can't give as much like solid theological thing about it, but theories that I've heard about this, like what was Jesus all about? Why did he need swords? If the disciples had all been taken and crucified with him, then all the effort of investing into them would have been for naught. And he would have had to, they're trying to trick the devil into killing him at this point, right? So we're getting a little into more theory ground here. Forgive me. And, I want to make it clear, unlike certain denominations, all of them, I'm not going to declare that my spiritual theories are in fact the concept and then base a church on them and a dogmatism about them and then declare anyone who believes otherwise is going to hell. I'm not going to do that. I can't prove any of this. Okay, we're not there. But there's strong implications that what Jesus was doing was trying to trick the devil, and God was, the whole plan, into thinking that God had taken away his protection from Christ. Does that make sense to you? Remember, what does Christ say on the cross? I don't know. God, my Father, why have you forsaken me? Had God forsaken him? No, he hadn't. The dog's going crazy.
Get off our bed.
Right? This was all part of the plan, remember? So, and even that always confused me too, because it's like, even he's, maybe he's delusional at this point. The pain's driven him he's forgetting the plan and all that. And he's forgotten that God has, isn't so much abandoning him as much as holding back till the event's over. But I think it's safe to say that it's part of the plan. What would have happened, right, if Jesus had sinned? Well, God would have brought away his protection. Like if Jesus had given in to the devil's temptation, what would have happened? Well, Jesus wouldn't have had the protection from heaven anymore, would he? So, what's the game? Make the devil think that Jesus has displeased God enough to lose the protection, get in so that they feel like they can crucify him without any repercussions. Then they use that against the devil and they break him on the spiritual plane, right? To make that happen, though, they had to make sure that the disciples weren't taken as well, because then Jesus and God would have had to they would have had to tip their hand to save the disciples, because it wasn't in the plan to bring them all back from the dead. Let me tell you, that would have been an interesting thing. So the idea being the swords were there to make this rabble of angry dudes who weren't professional soldiers, I might add, who can't defend their own heads against a fisherman with a sword, right? Did they know there were only 2 swords amongst the followers of Jesus? No. All they saw was one armed guy cut off one of their leaders. I think it was actually one of their leaders, like the servant of the main priest ear. And to them, they're like, oh crap, all these guys are armed. We might die. And then Jesus heals them and says, I'll go with you. Right? That way, there's this different vibe. It's like, if you look at it from this angle, Jesus goes with them to prevent the bloodshed, not like from the perspective of the soldiers, not from the so. No, he is meowing a lot. From the perspective of the soldier, not the soldier, but whatever, the temple guards, right? It looks like Jesus just wanted to stop the fight, and that if they try to take all the disciples with him, there's going to be a fight. It's pretty smart. Notice also that they don't try to kill off all the disciples or anything till Stephen and all that happens. And you say, well, why didn't Peter and them fight later? Because that wasn't the job, right? All the soldiers who Jesus talks to and John the Baptist talks to, do they tell them to stop being soldiers? No, they say be good soldiers, not be good warriors would be the better thing, right? Don't take any bribes, don't cause problems, right?
Don't kill more than this.
Don't do your office without causing harm or causing evil would be the task. That,
in other words, don't get greedy.
right. And again, you get into just the just war theory and Justinian and all the rest. It's funny. This all comes down to something very basic, and this is I wanted to talk about this. I know what are we in now? 16 minutes, and I've been on crazy tangents and everything.
No.
For Gen Z and Gen Alpha, I want you guys to understand why it's necessary, and it's okay that you have these instincts to defend yourself, and that Christianity does not call you evil for doing that. All right? When I grew up, I thought I was like this monster having these natural tendencies to do things like enjoying Punisher as a concept. Right? I thought that part of me was evil. It was something that was twisted that I had to spiritually destroy. No. The Bible is full of justice. And even the New Testament makes it clear.
I'm sorry.
Justice for Rosie, apparently. She just went boneless. She got terrified.
I know.
What the heck? Anyway, so
I got her pressure point in her armpit.
Take, for example, when he's with Pilate, right? Jesus says, if my kingdom was of this world, my servants would fight you, right? And the point is that he was saying, right then, the kingdom was not of this world. Its origins was not of this world. But obviously, in Revelations, that changes. If his kingdom was not of this world and never going to be part of this world, then he wouldn't have to come back. But he does come back. And that's the point. When he comes back, lots of swords being drawn, blood, icky, death, lots of revenge and justice. Don't you meow at me, I'll meow at you. Yeah, meow. Right?
Want attention too? Nobody wants attention.
So, golly.
One.
No. She mocks me. An interesting side note to this, right? Most churchianity type people hold to the belief that the angel of the Lord in the Old Testament is Jesus Christ. That's the representation of God coming in as a powerful angel, and that is Jesus Christ. A little side note to that would mean that that Jesus is literally God's hatchet man, because the angel of the Lord had certain jobs, and most of them that we see in the Old Testament, including slaughtering hundreds of thousands of people, including Israelites. David sins, and a sin that we would actually think was kind of mild, to be honest, and that led to the angel of the Lord literally just striking people dead on a threshing floor. Remember, according to churchianity, that's Jesus Christ killing people. God's hatchet man. Why do you think the demons were so scared of Jesus when they saw him? Because they knew what is it they always shouted? We know who you are, O righteous one of God. As in, we know you're God's hatchet man. Are you here to kill us? This is why they were scared. This is why the devil was like, what's this dude doing here? Like, what?
This is part of the.
Wait, he's here. Why isn't he killing everybody? You see the confusion why he comes and he's like filling them out. He's like, yo, you don't need to fight me. I'll give you all these kingdoms you're here to fight for. Just, bow to me instead. Yeah? Huh? Cool? No? No. Oh, okay. Next test. Right? It's interesting to always see from that perspective.
Scrambling versus to throw it.
When the devil comes to Jesus, there's a level of confusion there. He's trying to figure out.
Yeah, bro, confusion and delay.
Like what's going on? Like, you were prophesying that you were just going to crush my head. Right? Remember the serpent, the head in the garden, strike the heel, he gets crushed, right? So devil's going, he's here. Why is the war not started? What's going on? What do I do about this? And you can see the devil is on edge and trying to figure it out, and he's feeling out, and he's throwing out what he thinks could tempt Jesus. But I almost wonder, and this, again, you got to break away from personal ideas. Like,
a lot of it was things that the devil have used, when it could use on everybody.
Well,
human.
Again, it would have been a temptation that he thought could work on Jesus.
Yeah.
And I would tell everybody that we don't understand that. Like, there's subtexts around that. Things that tempt me personally, you will never fully understand because you're not me. Now imagine you are the almighty God of the universe, and then you are his hatchet man / logo / word of God that was there since the beginning of time. Would we fully understand what would tempt him? No. And we could say that the devil would probably know, because the devil used to be the star. The morning star was what he was called. He was like the head of the angels, the tough boy, right?
Well, he must also be confused too and struggle because he was able to get 1/3 of the angels to follow him.
Right. So he knows how to.
These angels to follow me. Well, what about?
He knows how to get a spiritual entity to rebel. So that actually just sort of hit me while we were talking about it. I wonder if he was part of the reason why he acted the way he did and didn't instantly try to raise armies and stuff is Jesus rebelling? Is that why he's on Earth? Hey, you can join us. Huh? And Jesus makes it very clear he's not rebelling. It's an interesting idea. People often have this concept, like almost like the world is a play and all the actors know their parts. The devil doesn't know the plan exactly. He knows what we know and more, right?
Well,
he knows more because he's been around the block a few times.
It even says that even Jesus himself doesn't know when the end times happens.
There's things
we have so many people who are trying to predict that.
And if Christ doesn't know, you don't know. You're not going to figure it out. But what I'm specifically sure, people think that the devil knew exactly how everything would go down as well. If he did, then why did he play his part? His whole thing is rebellion. Why would he play the part and kill Jesus on the cross? Just to feel cool? No, he was tricked into it. And he didn't know what was going on. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. Like, imagine how easy, technically, God's plan is to defeat here. Just don't kill Christ. That's all the devil has to do. He has the rest of the world. If Christ isn't willing to break out the swords, the rest of the world's not going to fall to him. Right? And that is an important part of why we're talking about this. See, there's this little thing about the physical world. God made it too. You understand? God made it. He made this stuff too. He made you me. jumping ahead. God called it good. If
Not
we could
perfect,
get
but
into reasons, the devil wanted the world. That's why he rebelled, right? And we can infer this because Jesus refers to him as the God of this world, showing that when he rebelled, what's the thing he went for? He went for claiming the earth. After he gets cast out of heaven, first he tries to take the kingdom of heaven, can't take it, so he takes the earth. Now, the spiritual plane is all full of rules and crazy shenanigans, which the devil, as a lawyer, takes advantage of. We've talked about this before, right? The devil's a lawyer. He takes advantage of the spiritual rules, little side rules, little side nuggets to sneak it in. The lawyer. A lawyer liar. And God, using Jesus Christ, beat him at his own game, using those rules against the devil, tricking him into losing his power, right? The problem is, the battle's not done yet. The war's not over. You understand? It's the next stage. A lot of the devil's power is broken now. But it doesn't mean there's not a lot of power there. It doesn't mean you can't fight. And it's a dirty secret. I know this is hard for modern Christians to grasp, but Christianity actually grew the most when it was willing to fight. Like blood, kill, murder. Well, not murder, kill. Different. Thou shalt not murder, not thou shalt not kill. And by the way, those words are very clear. This isn't, there's no translation issue there. Like it is literally the distinction. One is like killing, destroying evil and acting justice. One is clearly, killing for envy and trying to take someone's stuff, that kind of thing, right? Unjust, just. And I say this to point out that when Christians don't fight or can't fight, they're snuffed out of existence, and you don't even know their memories. I know this is an unfortunate, a hard topic for people to understand, but look, the entire Arabic world, the entire Muslim world, okay, I should be careful with this since the Muslim world technically includes like India and stuff, but all of their territory outside of Asia, if you will, right, from the Middle East to Levant, Africa, a lot of Africa, all of that was Christian territory. The Nile used to sing with hymns from the mouth of it to like the end of it. This, the Ethiopian church is a thing. I know I like to bring this up to slap people around, like say, oh, our church is the oldest church. No, sorry, Ethiopians got you beat there, brah. Don't know what else to tell you. And the center of Christianity was Alexandria. Of the three cities, you had Rome, of course, you had Constantinople, and then there was a third one called Alexandria, and they had like equal power in the Christian world. But Alexandria was the greatest. If you don't know, that's in Egypt. Nile, right? So nowadays, people don't even have the memory that all of that land was once so Christian. You could hear the songs all over the Nile, right? It blows my mind that people don't understand. How did that get there? Warfare. Islamic aggression. And Islam has proven to be incredibly good at destroying the vestiges, even the memory of Christianity in their lands. Like even now, like Istanbul and whatnot, that was Constantinople, baby. People kind of understand that now. They squat on it. They destroyed churches. It's crazy when you look it up. And I hate to say it, but all of the devil's children are going to act that way. Hindus, all of them. They're going to annihilate Christians if they can. Yes, 100%, we are sent here to try to save as many souls as possible. But you don't love someone if you're not willing to do tough love. If you have to prove that their gods are physically weaker than the God of heaven to show them the way to Christ, like what was done to the Vikings, by the way, and the Lithuanians, then you don't love them if you're not willing to do that, because they will go to hell unless you are willing to show them that their gods are weaker. The Aztecs were the same way. The Aztecs would have never converted on their own unless it was shown that their gods were physically weaker. That's it. I don't know. Like, entire continent became Christian. The entire South America, Middle America, right? I can't. Center's the one. It's a middle, man. Yeah, but yeah, essay. The place where the essays come from, dang it. That whole place became Christian through conquest. And sorry, more people became Christians through those conquests than ever became Christian under the Churchianity missionary drives. You know, all those missions to Thailand, China, Japan, even the older ones going back to World War I and everything.
The numbers have not changed.
They've all practically failed. All those nations have stagnated on the Christian growth. Like, I mean, China is still like 90% atheist. And I want to remind everyone that they used to be excessively Buddhist or, you know, big Taoism and all the rest. How fast did the cursed communism twisted version of Western thought spread to the entirety of that place like a wildfire? And instead, right, by the time China's being interacted with, we have something like the Boxer Rebellion that just wipes out a bunch of Christians. And even though Chinese lost the Boxer Rebellion, those numbers were never fully replenished. And then you have instances in World War II and whatnot where Western powers, under the control of certain entities, targeted Christian populations in these places. For example, Nagasaki. Isn't it interesting that one of the only cities with a strong Christian population was the one chosen to be incinerated? Assuming nuclear weapons even exist. Maybe they just used a really big firebomb. I don't know. But the point is, they got wiped out. Just convenient hitting the one city. Yeah. Yeah. A little strange. You know, there's other cities they could have hit. Bigger ones even. Nagasaki's not the biggest one. I mean, why not just hit the capital to prove a point? You know, maybe you're not trying to kill the emperor. Fair, I guess. But why not a military port then? I don't know. I gotta look it up. Maybe Nagasaki had a military port. I mean, it's Japan. I just should assume all the cities have military ports. Japan during the imperial era. Who knows? So I want to be careful on that. But yeah, there's no way that was an accident. Not even a little bit. Okay. Especially when you know the history of the government at that time and going into our time. Already. Ooh. I'm getting sidetracked. But my personal okay, so the cultists and the certain people of the upside down star, if you will, with small hats. The Jews, right? They have this thing where they tend to jump to other nations and stuff when everything starts to fall apart because of the things they do. The funny thing is, it seems like they're pushing to jump to India. Absolutely hilarious that they went from thinking that they were going to jump to like high, like not. There's places in China that are pretty rough, but there's some high technological, serious stuff. Chinese places they could have gone to, and China goes, boom, closes the door on them and says, no, in fact, you're weird Facebook guy. Get out of here. We don't want anything to do with you. Oh, we'll take all your stuff. We'll take all your Uber cars and whatnot and all the technology you brought here. Thank you. Bye-bye. And they go, oh, quick, New Zealand. Oh, crap. New Zealand might get conquered by China or something, right? We got to find someplace better. India. So they're literally going to the armpit of the world. There is a certain cosmic justice to them going to a place full of people pooping in the streets.
That would be
You don't think they have poop in their armpits? I think they do. To escape the ones coming here that they're bringing here, turning this place into the other armpit of the world.
kind of mud that they went in.
Now, Christian Indians, we need a heart-to-heart. Your people, by and large, have rejected Christ. You should probably do something about that. And coming to other countries to invade them, not going to work for you. And I already see you guys are putting idols up. So obviously we're not getting a lot of Christian Indians here. Not too surprising. So the thing is, you need to civilize yourselves. You need to Christianize your own people and not leave, even if it's easier. My wife and I, we're not leaving. Be easier. God actually warned us
If we did.
that the sword would follow us. That actually will play a part in when we talk about our homework today. Too much to those, much is given, much is expected. So to take what God gives us and run, oh, trust me, I could do it. I could live in a sailboat. I could go to an atoll and in the middle of the Pacific and spend the rest of my life hunting for oyster stuff. I saw that the other day. I'm like, ooh, oyster farming in and not like the oyster farming in the United States where it's all like GMO grown nasty crap. Like it's an actual like real sea oysters. Yeah. In atolls, those circle islands. They
Is
harbor.
that what they call?
Atolls, yes. Atolls. It's spelled really funky.
Atoll?
It's like the top of a volcano just peeking out of the water, so it's like a circle. And oysters are in that water area there, and they make beautiful pearls.
Well, yeah.
I didn't know that, but there's
Yeah,
whole
oysters
farmers
make-
just in these islands dotted in like the French Pacific. There's just oyster farmers who slap down.
In the top of a volcano?
I think there could just also be the top mountains, but I'm pretty sure they're volcanoes, but technically, like they're long dormant volcanoes, if I understand correctly. I'll have to look that up. It's been a long time, and they just have these stilted houses and whatnot in the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah, and then you put them over, you get it out, and
Right.
squeeze it inside the muscles.
And they
pearl.
pull out the pearl, and they have just
Some
the
of
one
them
I
get
saw was
really
really
big.
yeah. The one I saw was really cool because they would like bring out all these like fences and like these grates, if you will. They put all the oysters in and put them out in the ocean, and put them just deep enough that the near
That they could
reefs,
do it.
near reefs, that the fish come in and eat all the algae and nasty thing and clean the oysters for them. So the fish are really happy. The oysters are happy till they're dead, and the swimmers are also really happy because they get fish to eat. It's the circle of life, and you get beautiful scenery. Yeah. Also spearfish. Huh. See, my wife's giving me this look because she knows. If it wasn't for God, we would have already ran out the deep ocean.
Deep ocean.
Which is funny, like me, right? She comes from like there's pirate stock in her. She's like Black Sea.
I just want to be in a sea where I can
I
see
am-
land. If I can see land, I'm fine. If it's
You're
not
a
land,
sea lion? Is land? See, I'm Dutch though, so we have this need. The ocean is freedom to us to escape all our overlords. We're on the ocean. We're as big as our overlords on the ocean. Bring us a kraken to kill, baby. Let's find a treasure fleet. Woo! Arr. All that to say, God has warned me about never running. And and that's the thing. So all the essays and Mexicans and whatnot running up here because you think it's better. What Muslim or not Muslim, but you know what I mean. From Islamic-based countries, what you need to go to your own people. You need to save your own people. You can't be coming here. Sorry. Just like we can't leave because, again, the physicality of this fight is important. There's this little thing, boomers are funny. They'll think, oh, hey, I'm rich. I could sell my house for $10 million tomorrow. But then you don't have a house. You don't have anywhere to live. Are you gonna buy down?
No, they marry foreign women and they live off of the Social Security.
But then they have to buy a
somewhere
house
in
over there.
Thailand.
But you get the point.
No, the wife buys the house. Like the locals, you can't.
There. But you get to my point. You need some place to live, right? You know what I'm saying? Christ makes it clear, right? We should be building up our treasure in heaven because that's the kingdom to come. That's the kingdom that when it comes to earth, and there's a new earth and a new heaven, right?
That always gets me.
It'll,
like, what's gonna?
Notice there's a new earth,
Why is
as in there's a new physical world. It's almost like God made this place for a reason.
And then what's gonna happen to the old heaven? That always gets me.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why all the elite keep building their bunkers. They think they're going to escape.
Is there round 3 that we don't know?
By the way, when I get some more of my fiction book stuff, you're going to have fun ideas about that, let me tell you. Because I've often wondered, like, all these monster stories and whatnot, how many rounds of apocalypses have we been through? Several old stories think that there's been a lot of them, and let's just say the elites are quite convinced that the next one's going to involve fire. And you know what? Revelations agrees. There's going to be a lot of fire. And how did they escape the flood? Well, they went deep underground. They went deep into Sheol, as it's referred to. Hades, hell. So what if some of these monsters and monster stories are the elites of the old eras who went into bunkers and came out something else? Fallout style, baby. Maybe those people knew more than they were talking about when we created those stories. Just a thought. Funny thing, it's also hinted at in The Matrix. Yeah. Random, huh? Because in The Matrix, that was like the 4th or the 5th Matrix, the idea being. And each one gets destroyed for various reasons. One was perfect to hold everyone in, but people rejected it because it was too perfect. And then they made one the opposite, where everything was absolutely horrible and there was monsters and things and all that. And the funny thing about that is that that's how vampires and stuff exist in the Matrix universe, is their programs from that era that never deleted themselves, hiding in the shadows. Also, the machines are metaphors for demons. So, just thought you should know. The original Matrix, like the first movie, pretty good, no problems. But the Wachowski brothers are most likely possessed. Allegedly, most likely. I mean, come on, they're trannies. Those are the ones, the weird tranny brothers who made the Matrix. And it's hilarious to me how they whine and complain that the Matrix has been turned against them. They're the ones that came up with, They're like, no, it's supposed to be about rejecting Christianity. Well, it's basically an obvious metaphor for making peace with evil. See, our enemies have been subtly putting that through all the literature. Just, everything is always about that. So, Christians bad for ever fighting back. So, and yes, I'm even talking about offensive wars. I know. But
just think about the story of Gideon.
Like you say, well, where's the balance in that? Where I know what I don't know. I'm figuring it out as I go. Luckily, God does have it all figured out, and I don't need to have it all figured out. But I obviously see, like with the invasions of the Americas, and even North America. Sorry, Indians in North America weren't much. In fact, they were just as savage. They would have been throwing people off pyramids themselves if they had the brains to have pyramids. Okay. I don't know how. Okay. Real talk. The few Indians who have, feather Indians, if I can be nice and racist for everybody. You know who you are. Natives who aren't natives. Real talk. The few of you who are Christian. That's a big one, right? Your people have rejected Christ. And the white man is no longer going to be in a position to protect you. You say, oh, the white man destroyed it. Yes. Sure. Whatever. Yeah. We got tired of all your witchcraft and bullcrap. That thing. Cutting people's tops of their heads off. Torturing people to death just because. Yeah. We got a little tired of that. And don't you dare whine and complain. All of your tribes, your modus operandi was captives or tortured and slain. So where do you get off complaining when your captives are killed? And usually not tortured. You tortured men, women, and children for the sake of torture. And you whine and complain when someone is more efficient at it. No. Suck it. That was a very pastoral thing of me to say. Now,
Genghis Khan did more than what they did.
It's true. But only because they didn't have the physical capabilities that Khan did. They certainly would have given the chance. And yes, in general, there were no quote-unquote peaceful tribes. There were tribes that were able to be peaceful as the white man killed off the more violent tribes. Okay? So, now that all of you have clicked off and gotten all angry at me, I don't care. The few of you that are still here, you need to go to your own people and save them. Okay? Stop complaining about the white man causing all your problems, because I know that's bull. All right. In your position, there's no reason why you're not Luxembourg or Brussels or something. You get the point. Those reservations could have been Luxembourg, but instead they are hell. Congratulations. Now, you have been protected at this point from the essays by the white man. Okay? And that's going away. You are not going to convince the essay and the Indian and the Muslim to not kill you because they're mean. Okay? It's not going to happen. Essay going to laugh. Muslim's going to laugh. Black man's not even going to hear you out. So you might want to get ready for that. Okay? You might want to get ready for that. I don't know how else to... I'm not trying to be mean, but if you had been invaded by any of these other peoples, you would not exist. You would be gone, and no one would know who you are. How do I know this? Because the Christian, like I brought up, the Christians of the Nile, no one even knows their names anymore. Okay? That's how thoroughly these kinds of races invade, sack, and destroy memory. So, you might want to start getting more Christian and arming up, because white man can't defend you anymore. You can argue that white man put you in that position and had to defend you. I don't care. This is for you. Turn to Christ faster, because your heathen gods will sacrifice you in a moment's notice if they think they can get more worship and more slaughter out of the Indians, which I know that was confusing. Indians, right? I was going to say something that was very racist, but I forgot what it was. Anyway, the point is, the same entities behind you are also kind of running those entities behind the ones coming in. And if there's anything to show in history, they don't play nice together. All right, one's going to dominate the other. And the devil doesn't mind if tribes of humans get wiped off the map. Okay? All right. Well, this is going all over the place. I need to get to the homework. I'll be more political than I meant. But as we've established, physical war is part of the process. See, God first, and we can see this all throughout the Old Testament and later with the Aztecs and arguably the Romans. First, God sends his missionaries, his prophets, those speaking his name, saying, change your ways. People or a group refuse to change their ways, kill the prophets, drive them out, whatever it is. God then uses that as spiritual slash in those spiritual laws to say, okay, you are now going to be judged for those. You're poking him with a sword?
Yeah, fencing sword.
Oh my.
I have another sword over there.
He is interested, oddly enough. Look at him
He
follow
is
that.
literally the Spanish Puss in Boots.
He is the pussy. He is doing the beres.
You
Rawr.
the sword.
Oh my. This is so distracting. Anyway, and then after that, judgment from God comes. Most people don't know this, but the Aztecs actually have lots of stories of apocryphal happenings. God gave them ample warning to change their ways. They refused, so he sent the Spaniards in to deal with them. Don't shoot the messenger. And when you actually study the Spanish conquests, yeah, God was in it. It was an absolute miracle. There's no way they should have been able to do it. Yes, even with the germs and all the guns. Yeah. Yeah. Most so distracting. But that goes for everything. We are being punished as a nation for allowing the sin of tolerance of demons, of demonic worship in our ranks, of not weeding our gardens. And what has it led to? Massive abortions, Epstein type islands, horrible depravity, and generations of cowards unwilling to do anything about it. You guys are the generations that are going to change that. You're different, you're willing to fight, and that's good. And I'm saying the Bible actually supports your actions. Now, I'm so distracted. Now, I want to make something clear here. We are going to fail and win at the same time. What do I mean by this? I mean, we are no longer able to fill our original mandate, which was given to us in Genesis. What did God say? Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. Various things happened, including in the Tower of Babel, where the mankind was stricken away from God. Yes, there was also the sin of Adam, right? But then the Tower of Babel, there's the second wave of it basically being stricken, and then God picked a group of people to be his, and which everybody else would be regrafted into the tree. Right? We as our Christians are inheritors of the covenant. We are regrafted into the family of God. The covenant is fulfilled through Christ's death on the cross. This is why Jesus will say things like, not an ounce of scripture will be taken out, or like, laying out that it's all there and it's all important. The same God who had Jesus killing people on the threshing floor, killed 100,000 Assyrians, all the rest, right? Killed all the Egyptians' firstborn, is your God as well. He hasn't changed. It's in the song, isn't it? Stays the same forever and ever.
Today and forever.
Yeah. He is the Almighty. Okay? And he has just gone through an excessively long process to find a way to not have to kill everybody. You see how that works? But those who do not bend, like, what do you think Revelations is all about? What do you think the song is talking about when it says every knee shall bow? You think they're going to bow willingly, mother trucker? No, they're not. It makes it quite clear they're going to come together and rebel. And they're going to fight as hard as they can. So, what I'm saying is, we can no longer fulfill, because of the fall, the kingdom of heaven on earth, which is to say, spreading the kingdom of heaven out from the Garden of Eden until it fills the entire earth. Can't do that anymore. We're fallen, we're corrupted, blah, blah, blah. But we can sure make as many good Christian nations as possible, because the gospel spread the most when there were strong Christian nations as foundations and, shall we say, safe havens for Christianity to spread from. Little dirty fact. People will say things like, oh, the Romans, the Romans, the Romans, right? The Romans only became Christian, and there was only like 10% of them who were Christian at this point, by the way, when Constantine became Christian. And he only became Christian because God won a battle for him. That's when we got Constantinople. See how that works? And that's why Constantinople was the second most important city in the Christian world. First it was Alexandria, then it was Constantinople, and then it was Rome. Rome was the last one. Rome was the backwater, if you will. Stop making me meow on screen, cat. So, pretty much any way you look at it, the devil does two things. He has two major strategies. First, he tries to kill you. If you're too strong to kill, if you're too solid on God and you trust him completely and you do your force of arms and you're willing to fight back, then he tries to corrupt you and manipulate you and trick you into killing yourself, basically, as we've seen. That's what we're in right now, is the devil shifting from the tricking you into losing your protection from God to destroying us again. That's the shift. That's the warning, too, that I give right now to all of the invaders. When that's done and God's protection is back on the elect, you better not be fighting the elect anymore. You understand? You better be Christians as well. And honestly, Christians of these various other races who are starting to invade the United States and other Western powers, go home, because all of your agitators are coming here for easy money and easy loot. This is the time that you can take your nations back. That way, in my most evil genius mentality, perfect world, everything works out great. If you guys do that and Christianize your nations while all the bad apples are here, when we kick them out, they'll have nowhere to go. And a whole generation of bad apples gets stuck in the sea where they belong. And now, I would also tell all the bad apples, repent, because you're not going to win this. You're going to win for a little while. Muslims thought they were going to win and conquer Europe. They got all the way to Vienna. They got all the way to France. They were doing slave raids in Iceland, for Pete's sake. Iceland.
People there? Sorry.
Anyway, that's the Slav around here, I guess. Yes. So, repent, because you're not going to make it all the way. God has made it very clear that there will be Christian nations. Now, there will be a time when all the nations break away from God, and all the nations, there is no haven for Christianity, where we are pariahs on every face of the earth. And that's the prelude to Revelations. You know, this is why you can safely ignore all these morons who do things like, oh, it's the Satan's little season. Was there ever a time where Christians had no safe haven on the face of the earth? Or was there ever a time, for example, where all the nations of the earth were not deceived by the devil? Because both of these things have to take place before the devil's season. These things have not happened. So there you go. It's not really hard. I get it. John the disciple, what the heck happened to him? I don't know. I don't need to know. Heck, Jesus made it clear he didn't know. What did he write? He said that I don't even know the exact time. So stop splitting hairs over something so stupid and fight the fight that's right in front of you. You understand? Boomers and a lot of Gen Xers and whatnot are obsessed with that, because if it's the end of the world, then there's no point of them preserving and sacrificing what they have for the next generations. Like we brought up a few streams back, right? If it's the end of the world, then they don't need to sacrifice what they have to plant the oaks that their great-grandchildren will get to enjoy. You see the point? right? They don't need to sacrifice their retirements to pay for, say, drone training for their grandsons so that they're ready for the conflict that's coming, right? They don't need to do things like pay bills for the family and get them out of debt or anything like that. They don't have to do that because, Jesus is about to come back. It's dumb, and we're actually going to get that into the homework. Might even skip to the homework real quick. The point I'm getting at is the physical war is necessary because God made the physical world, and this fight is about the physical world, right? You understand? If Jesus's kingdom, as he said, is is not of this world, but is never going to become part of this world, then Jesus never has to come back, right? Jesus never has to come back. But if the kingdom of heaven is supposed to come here and consume the world and create a new earth and a new heaven and a new world, get the point. When he was talking to Pilate, that was in that moment, his kingdom was not of this world. You get? You got? So, there are two swords of Christ, if I may quote Ibrahim something. I always forget his last name. Anyway, this is much of what the old Christian military orders thought of. There was the sword of the spirit, and then there was the physical sword, the sword of David, if you will, right? There is the defending of the cross in Christ, and then there is the spirit of driving out evil and making converts, right? The important part is we need to make sure Christians stop killing each other. This is the big problem with World War I, World War II, Crimean War, Napoleon, right? All of it was a great trap that the devil illustrated, manifested, made over centuries to trick the Christian nations into killing each other. Otherwise, who would have killed them? No one could dominate them. It's only through self-immolation that we've gotten to this point. And even then, why do you think they're so mad? Oh, that's right. Russia, it has its problems, but it's still a Christian nation, and which is impressive given they dealt with communism and everything, right? No, that's why they're so mad about Russia. You get? Like China,
what is it they always tell you? You gotta be afraid of Russia. Why?
Cover across the world. Oh no, some people might actually want to, kick their Muslims out and dance on their legs, but it's a cool dance. Give them credit. It's hard to pull off a dance that's manly, difficult to do, and impressive while drunk. Anyway, notice they're not half as mad about China because China's not Christian. Even though China, in a lot of ways, is a bigger threat to their world order, but China, in the end, has its own version of things controlling them. There's a reason why they have their own Illuminati groups and whatnot. There's a reason why their dragons are shaped like snakes and are the purveyors of wisdom and gave them wisdom all the past and are a mixture of good and evil and all the rest, right? Is because who's the old dragon? The devil. And what was he? He was a serpent. He's literally a serpent dragon. Do you get much more on the nose? Literally, in their culture, snakes are considered messengers of the gods. Or, whatever they... It's all messy because it was like gods, kids, you get gods. It's basically just a weird version of paganism mixed with ancestral worship, which is just another version of paganism. It amazed me when I was studying Native American cultures, looking for creepy stories and things in the Americas.
It's very similar to.
They're like, oh, it's animism, and then you study it like this is just paganism with a few extra steps. That's all it is. Oh, it's a spirit, yeah, but it acts like a pagan god. It hangs out like it represents like an element. Yeah. Represents an area or an element or something like it. It might have once, according to them, been one of their ancestors, maybe, but it acts like a god, it smells like a god, it poops like a god, and it wants sacrifice like a god, usually. Why can't I just call it a god? Why can't I just call it pagan? Oh, it's animism. This is paganism with extra steps and different flavors. It's like saying Difference between French and Italian cakes. They taste different for sure, but they are both cake. Come on, someone wants to say it. Have their cake and eat it too. It's okay. Wife wants French cake. Oh no, I said Italian cake. It's her weakness.
I like my soggy cake.
Oh God. Not this. I'm so Dutch. Like it's not sweet enough for me. I'm like, give me the chocolate, man. My ancestors did not conquer the cocoa bean lands so that we wouldn't have chocolate cake, dang it. You think we went out there and fought the Spaniards in the height of their power so we can't have chocolate? We want our chocolate.
You guys make white chocolate.
Ooh. No, you're my white chocolate. What's that face for? What, you think I'm not going to flirt with you in this situation? Come on, son. What do you think it's be fruitful and multiply? You marry and you multiply. This isn't hard. No, that joke's too much. No, bad. Anyway, we need to do our homework. So.
Thick of the Bible, the harder the hit.
So, I have actually done the entire. God, we're skipping all over, and this is already getting long. So, I'll do a quick. I don't want a 2-hour stream. I'm tired. I want to do other things too. But so, for example, the 7 deadly sins, right? Envy, greed, right? Blah blah blah. They are right. So Augustine and whatnot, right? They're the bad ones because they cause other sins and blah blah blah. I actually push back on that a little bit. Yes, they do, but they work for something else. They work for things like what you see in Daniel chapter 10, the Prince of Persia. Those are the big dogs. We know this because the Prince of Persia, which is a spiritual prince, right? It's what Paul refers to as a principality of darkness, right? Can fight God's angels, all right? The Prince of Persia fights Gabriel to a standstill, and the archangel Michael has to come and help. And Michael is himself a territorial spirit because he's put over the Israelites, right? Though I have heard that he's technically for those in bondage, which is a fascinating idea. He might have multiple jobs. Who knows? I don't know how it works. But at the very least, the Prince of Persia.
Be fighting at the end times.
But we also.
It's going to be fighting with the martyrs as well.
I don't know how that works. We are establishing a church where we admit that we don't know everything. That we can't know everything. And so, I'm a weird mood. So, and in this passage, it also refers to the Prince of Greece, another spiritual principality. What are these big bads that are tough enough to fight the Archangel of God? Like, the one who fights the dragon and all the rest, right? They're territory spirits. They are not lust, right? It didn't say, I went to come to you, but the spirit of lust stopped me. Did he say the spirit of pride stopped me? Was it the spirit of envy? No, it was the Prince of Persia, the spirit over the territory of Persia. That spirit uses envy spirits and pride and lust and all that to control and use people and gain more power, right? But who's the big bad? It's a territory spirit. The land itself. They use things like the 7 deadly sins to take possession of the land, and they're tied to the peoples as well. As we saw with Michael, right? He's also attached to the people of Israel. Likewise, there seems to be an evil entity attached to the Mexican people. It's a very fascinating thing. Manifesting like La Llorona and whatnot. It's theories for another day.
So many theories.
So many theories. What? What's your problem? It's your problem.
Read.
You're the one who loves me.
You don't love me.
I don't. Down, girl.
I'm
Bam.
joking.
Women,
That was a
twist
trap.
anything you say.
Oh golly.
So
This is why we twist.
that's not to say that the 7 deadly sins aren't something to watch. Though I would say something much worse than all of them is fear. The spirit of fear will make people sin far more than the spirit of lust around the other things. Those things will weaken men. It's funny, even the pagans look down on the people who are slaves to the 7 deadly sins. You understand what I'm saying? Like, not all the time, but like take the Roman pagans, someone who was slaves to their lusts and their desires and all their crap, were looked down upon by the very soldierly, tough guy Roman guys. It's why the decadence of later Rome was such an anathema to the original Romans. It was, they went from like such strict discipline that they could lose 50,000 men in one day and raise an army the next day, right? To like decadent drunk guys who can't stop 5 barbarians and a stinky goat from killing them. And it's right, the Romans created, the Romans and the Greeks created the Stoics, for Pete's sake, right? Even the pagans can control their 7 deadly desires. You understand? So there's something above that. And fear, like we saw in COVID, will drive people to sins that you wouldn't even imagine. You could barely understand. Ooh.
How many family arguments started?
Huh? 5-minute arguments?
No, family arguments
started
at the point where they didn't want to fight people.
And as the Bible said, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. That one should be one way above the 7 deadly sins in and of itself. But fear, in particular, is so important because we get into ties into what we're talking about. Because the Churchians have created, the Churchians have created a philosophy that deifies their cowardice.
We can't judge them. Oh no. They say that because they're scared.
They cannot fight. See, if a man is unwilling and incapable of fighting, his only answer is to try to make everyone not fight. But the problem is, you can't make your enemy not want to fight. The only thing you can do is make your own side not fight by betraying them. And there you go. And again, more people were saved by Cortez than all of the modern evangelical movements put together. It's so funny to say. But if I just go from a numbers perspective, more people are going to be in heaven because of Cortez and the other conquistadors than all of these evangelical movements. In fact, many of these evangelical movements are going to trick people into hell. Have you noticed the demonic possessed gay people who are being made pastors and priests and Methodists and Baptists and other circles now? Sorry, a lot of those people think they're going to make it in, and they're not gonna. Not gonna. And what was it that Jesus said? If you make even one of these little lambs stumble, it would be better if you had a... Yeah, but it's referring... Yeah. And referring to anyone, right? In that sense, make anyone stumble spiritually, it'd be better if you would and thrown into the sea. Which is interesting, is I shouldn't go down to that. That we'll be here too long. Are you going to be? Well, the ocean to the Israelites was where the devil lived, essentially. That's why you have this concept that the oceans dry up at the end times. Is the idea basically, and you have this concept all throughout a lot of cultures. Even where what's his face got Cthulhu and everything coming from the deep depths. He got that from Middle Eastern concepts of what lies at the bottom of the ocean. I may also be influenced by the creepy mermaid story I listened to earlier today. I proved that one was fake though, so no worries. Yeah, it was I give him credit. It was a good fake story, but it was fake.
Sometimes I can't tell if you're listening to an audiobook or you're just doing research.
Oh, audiobook. I'm like, not what the heck is an audiobook?
Audiobook.
Audio business. Well, that was.
Shoot that.
Ooh, I'm a dad. I'm allowed to. Dad jokes. All right.
Oh, it's painful.
So I really wish this was a more focused thing. But basically, when it comes to the physical sword of Christ, it's a love, a tough love, a recognition that if there are people out there that will not become Christian unless you're willing to fight them, then you don't love them if you don't fight. The people who are the victims of evil deserve love as well. You hate them when you don't defend them. You do not show love to, say, the victims of the Epstein affair when you do not force justice upon their perpetrators and save those who are currently now. I don't think people understand. There are more things like Epstein going on right now in the United States, and we're letting it happen right now. We are not showing those victims love. Gosh dang, I brought Epstein up again. Darn that pervy Jew. But he, it's a bludgeoning thing. It gets everyone's attention, so I use it to prove my point. You don't get to this stage of Bohemian Groves and whatnot unless people aren't willing to burn the groves. So on that note, power to you, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Make those Christian nations, because God will use them greatly, just like he used Cortez and all the rest. But remember, just like the Spanish Empire, once you start turning that machine against your fellow Christians, machine against your fellow Christians, God's protection will leave you, and you will be destroyed, just like the Spanish were. Remember that. When Spain was fighting against pagans, God blessed them. But when they turned their swords against their fellow Christians in England and Netherlands, I was like, Netherlands and the continent at large for the Habsburgs, machinations and all kinds of nastiness, that's when God's protection left them and their empire was destroyed. It was a slow decline, but it was clear if they had not meddled in, not tried to conquer the other Christian states, they at least wouldn't have declined like that. It directly leads to, in the historical record, like their treasure fleet being destroyed by Dutch pirates because, well, the Dutch couldn't fight them at home, so they fought them where they could, and the destruction of their great armada when they tried to invade England. Anyway, we're finally getting to our homework. Oh, God. Which was Luke chapter 12. We're going to kind of breeze through this and concentrate on some good bits. So, beware the leaven of the Pharisees, this is a great example because leaven, which if you don't know is the thing that makes bread get big, gets everywhere and is a fungus, so it reproduces. So,
You mean yeast?
Yeah, yeast leaven. And what's God basically saying here? What's Jesus saying? He's saying evil people's messages spread like yeast. Yes, like a yeast infection. Thank you, wife. But the next one's really important. Very, really. Have no fear. Remember that fear line we were talking about. I tell you, my friends, do not fear those who could kill the body. After that, have nothing more that they can do. But I will warn you whom to fear. Fear him who, after he has killed, has authority to cast into hell. Yes, I tell you, fear him. Fear God. And yes, you should. Fear God more than anything else. Acknowledge Christ before men, right? The bravery of, even as never denying Christ no matter what the situation. Because you deny him, he'll deny you. This is distinctly different from other religions like, say, Islam, where they're told, oh no, yeah, lie all you want, then betray those people as hard as you can. Thank you. The parable of the rich fool, something that Boomer should pay attention to. I particularly love this story because you have it where the rich guy is like, wow, my barns aren't big enough. And he goes for the labor of making his barns bigger. And then God comes to him and the boomer essentially is like, wow, cool. Now I get to party. And then God comes to him and says, you're a moron because you just died. Your last effort was to build something for yourself and then you died. What was the point? Build your treasure in heaven, Jesus is saying. So likewise, boomers, don't try to save your wealth and all this other stuff just to die. Got it? Good. And do not be anxious. This one, woo! This one's been rough for us because God's been testing us a lot. If we would trust him even when finances are hard. And he would keep bringing this verse up to us. And he said to the disciples, therefore, I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what we eat, nor about your body, what you will put on. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. And as Jesus said when he was tempted by the devil, man lives on more than bread alone. And in Matthew, it brings in another part of this where, shoot, what was it? Oh no, it's here too. And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to the span of your life? Like, does being anxious solve your problems? Does being scared about something change it? If I'm anxious enough about a test, does it finish itself? If I'm scared about my car breaking down, don't do anything about it, does being scared about it save me from the car breaking down? It's literally pointless. Something to remember. So trust God. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. And right before this, it said, for all the nations of the world seek after those things, physical things, food and all that. And your Father knows that you need them. See, God recognizes the physicality. Instead, seek his kingdom, and these things will be added to you. That part at the end, added to you. This isn't like the obnoxious churchian thing of, if you tithe, God will make you rich. No. It's saying you concentrate on the kingdom of heaven, and God will provide and add even more to you. Right? But don't be confused. Success in this life, the devil can use that against you. And don't you forget it. If you're comfortable, the devil wins. If you're too comfortable and you don't act and you can't be used by God, then the devil's winning. He'll keep you as comfortable as he can physically make you. So don't forget about that. Not every time, though. That doesn't mean God doesn't bless people. So remember that. Stay dressed for action and keep your lamps burning. And be like men who are waiting for their master to come. And this story is really interesting because it's all about being prepared for Christ and his return and prepared to do his will, no matter the time. But most importantly, at least to me right now, is the part where it says, where is it? Everyone to whom much was given, of him much will be required. And from him to whom they entrust much, they will demand the more. So, if God has blessed you a lot, God is expecting a return on his investment. And it's something to remember. If God gives you a kingdom, he expects a kingdom's worth of Christians, a kingdom's worth of crop for his kingdom. Remember that. Not peace, but division. Oddly suits what we were talking about. I came to cast fire on the earth, and would that it were already kindled. Isn't that interesting too? Right? He's here to cause strife, and he wishes it was already started. He's impatient for it. God's hatchet man. I have a baptism to be I have a baptism to be baptized with. How great is my distress until it is accomplished. Do you think that I have come to give peace on earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. For from now on in one house there will be 5 divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son, son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And that's something to remember, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Most of the millennials, Gen Xers, and boomers are not going to be with you. And it's the sad truth, but we went over that in the sermon. Most of them are going to have to die off, and they're going to stab you in the back, and it's life. But stay strong. God is with you. He will always be with you. Fear him more than what they can do to you. And interpreting the time, he also said to the crowd, when you see a cloud rise in the west, you say at once, a shower is coming, and so it happens. And when you see the south and blowing, you say, there will be a scorching heat, and it happens. You hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and sky, but why do you not know the interpretatives of the present time? Now, some people say, oh, you see, we can figure out prophecy. No, but they should have been able to recognize Jesus as Lord. Peter figured out who he was and said, Jesus, you're the Messiah. It's not that hard. Settle with your accuser. Now, why do you not judge for yourselves what is right? As you go with your accuser before the magistrate, make an effort to settle with him on the way, lest he drag you to the judge, and the judge hand you over to the officer, and the officer put you in prison. I tell you, you will not get out until you've paid in full to the very last penny. Right there, a boomer will read that and go, oh, you see, you're supposed to pay back your debts, and ignore the year of Jubilee and all that. So this is clearly more of a metaphor, because this entire passage has been metaphors, hasn't it? He's saying, make right with God before the time of judgment comes. Not saying it's not good to pay your debts, but year Jubilee is a thing. Which was when all debts were canceled. Hence Jubilee. Every 7 years. So, next week, Luke chapter 13 is your homework. Make sure you read it and go over it with us that time too. Saturday again, I missed it this week, but we'll be hitting it again this week coming up, which is the Game Dev Vlog series. And of course, every Sunday we have another sermon. Every Monday we will have our Monday school. Remember, Jesus came here to bring strife against the devil. Unity with the devil is rebellion against God. Unity with evil is a rebellion against God. Rebelling against the devil's kingdom is loyalty to God. Do not tolerate evil.
Don't get comfortable.
Because you become part of it. Do not be afraid of using tough love. Because many enemies will not change unless they see strength. That's the way of it. Thanks for showing up. Stay strong, build good Christian nations, and we'll see you on the next one. Grizzly's out. Where in the living heck? Oh, hey. It's the big button that says in stream. I'm old. Later.